This week I had to get back on low fuel motorsport and do some more races on their Assetto Corsa implementation. So I signed up for the Green Hell Cup, which is a multi-class series with over 60 participants on, obviously, the Nordschleife. To warm up a little bit for the big race, I also decided to do another VRC touring car race. Let's dive in. This time we are on home turf TT Circuit Assen. We qualified second using the Renault. We do get a nice launch off the line and decide to do the wise thing and not try to make it too wide into the first corner. The leader is a bit cautious on the brakes, meaning we're in the danger zone, which the car behind me proves by, well, not being cautious into turn 1. Both turn 2 and 3 are very long, wide hairpins where you really have to be patient with these front wheel drive cars. So again, trying to be cautious by following the leader into turn 3. And again, not really working out in our favor as we get hit and this time lose a position in the process. Guy behind using me as a brake. It's very nice of him. Fast forward one lap later, Jasper in front really putting pressure on the leader. As you can see in the right bottom of the screen, on the relative, we are the only two cars opting for the soft tires in this race. I found out that the peak of the soft is really good and the medium will wear out only a tiny amount slower, after which both options are equally worn. Let's see how this unfolds as the leaders enter the braking zone for turn 1 side by side. There's a tiny bit of normal touring car contact and it looks like Jasper is taking the lead. Not too shabby. See if we can stay ahead with our maximum wing. And I'm not sure if this top speed difference was just the wing or the car, but the fact is I ran maximum wing on a high speed track, so not too sure about that in hindsight. And with this benefit, Per pulls off a very nice overtake, to be honest. Not really. Later in that same lap, the Honda again struggling with the tires on corner entry. However, this time there's no passing opportunity. So we decide to stay in the slipstream and see what happens and maybe, just maybe, try and force an error. Now we have Ryan behind and it looks like he took care of his tires nicely since he is gaining quickly. To compensate for this pace deficit, I thought it would be a great idea to try and brake a little later for the Geert Timmerbocht. And yet we run way too deep, giving Ryan a nice slipstream and overtaking opportunity into turn 1. I cover the inside for turn 1 and both Ossebroeke and Strubbe. You can just call them the long hairpins of sector 1, I won't be mad. And here Ryan also gives me a tiny nudge saying, hey, please hurry up, I'm trying to win this race. But all that tap does is give me a little bit of breathing space. Coming up on the last 10 minutes of the race, you can see Ryan is still very close behind, filling our mirrors. Now, I have watched this clip dozens of times and I still do not understand what happened here. If you have a suggestion, or Ryan, if you see this, please let me know in the comments, because I'm still clueless. What? So with the weirdest spin of 2024 already in the books, we cruise to the finish, coming home in a very nice P2. Now onto this madness, because spoiler alert, this is madness. Normally I do not show my quali runs, and I didn't want to until I decided that crashing on the only lap I have for qualifying was a great idea. Being a bit distracted by the traffic, we met Barry R. Alright, we're ready. I think we've qualified P9, which means we're just gonna ease into the race and see how we do. Let's go. No idea what that is. And we are off. This is a 1 hour long race and it has a mandatory pit stop, but first off you'll notice that all the classes aren't grouped together for the start of the race. Now I believe this is a limitation of the game, so we're gonna have to deal with it, also in the future. We try to avoid getting caught up at the apex by going really deep into the first part of the chicane. At this point I'm really not sure in which position we're in, but according to the relative we're in P4, so off to a great start. The BMW behind is the one that spun someone in turn 1, and since I see him looking down the inside, I choose to go a bit too deep into the corner, which just works out in the end. It'll kick off for us later in the first lap. Coming out of the carousel there is a Porsche behind, and it scared me just a little bit because initially I thought he was gonna go for it. Thinking I have done more than enough to keep it on the asphalt, the car started pulling to the grass and I realized very slowly we're gonna have a crash. And in all honesty, that was such a stupid mistake to make. Luckily for me though, everyone is going to have the pit and we obviously have to fix this damage at the end of lap 1, so that was also our mandatory stop done. The repairs always taking way too long when you're sitting in the box, but at this point I was just happy to carry on racing. So here we are, overtaking an M2 Cup car after the pit stop, minding our own business to try and get some time back we lost with the repairs. The pace we had in practice was okay for maybe a top 5, so I knew that if I kept my car clean, we could still make up some positions and have a good race. That's what we're here for in the end. The Porsche behind had other ideas and tried to dive bomb me the first chance he saw, which was very disappointing, and looking back, I could have maybe given more space to lose that time, but in the end my honest and very unbiased opinion is that this incident was 100% on him. Even with this time loss, we do manage to just undercut a car coming out of the pit. And yes, we have seen David before, because he was the one that spun another GT4 car in the first lap of the race. Keep that in mind. As I tried to push to get a bit of a gap, I actually achieved the opposite by going too deep. Luckily, you could say there's still a gap and I can focus on the lap ahead, which is exactly what I was planning to do until, well, this. I'm not sure whether this was intentional, but it kinda looks like it, and I was going to protest this for sure, but my replay unfortunately went corrupt and this footage alone isn't within the protest guidelines, so David, if you see this, just say sorry and we're good. A race at the Nordschleife is still a race at the Nordschleife, and I can safely say the sector between the exit of Carousel all the way to Galgenkopf is my favorite sector of everything in motorsport. And even though the race went, suboptimal, even though I wanted this race to be over so bad, driving this sector always cheers me up. It just has everything. The elevation change, the flow, it's literally fun in every car. And if you're anything like me, I would recommend you trying the Green Hell Cup out for yourself. Maybe just join a practice server to see if you like the mods they chose. The only thing is, you'll need to buy the GT3 cars, even if you are not interested in driving those. But if you are, it's £80 or around $20 for 7 cars, and that isn't really expensive if you ask me. I can safely say I will be back for some more torture, because this is what sim racing should be about. And if you made it this far into the video, all I can say is thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day.